Hello everyone. To start, first, you need to create a full HD project. The suggested settings, in my opinion, is a 96 dpi canvas with transparent background turned on. Now that you have your project open, let's add a vector rectangle where we can apply a gradient. The gradient will create the pattern that we need for the masking. The mask that we need is going to be a black and white image. The white section will be the area where you want to be visible, while the black area will be for the areas of the object that you do not want to show. For the gradient, we're going to create a 5 stops gradient. 4 stops will be for the color black and 1 for the color white. The reason we do this is because sometimes OBS does not recognize the black area at the edge of the screen, and you will not have the masking effect that you were expecting. For this reason, we're going to leave a white margin around the area that we want the fade to end. After you finish your gradient, we're going to save this project as a JPEG. Do not save it as a PNG. Even though you can use PNGs, I don't recommend it because PNGs take more space or storage from your hard drive, and it is not necessary just for masks. Remember to call your image in a way that you can remember what it is, and remember where you save it as well. Now that we have the image, let's create another mask, but this time instead of a vertical gradient, let's do a horizontal gradient. To keep this video short, I will accelerate the video speed, but this is basically doing the same thing that we did for the vertical gradient horizontally. Now, as we did with the vertical gradient, let's save this as a horizontal gradient. With this done, now let's create a mask with an unusual shape, something a little more complicated. This way you will see that there's no limitation of what you can do with masking. As long as you create a black and white image, you can create masks even with gradients. For the next image, I will need to use another application, but since we are in Affinity Publisher, we only need to click on the Affinity Photo Persona. But first, let's get a picture from Pexels, where you can get from the Stock tab in Affinity Publisher. We're going to use this paint splat for our next masking, and as you can see, this is not a transparent image, so we need to separate the background. For this reason is why we need Affinity Photo. For this, we're going to use the Flood Select tool that you can find at the top left on your tools. Now remember that with Affinity Photo you had to select the Add Selection option. If not, it will keep adding a new selection, deleting the previous selection. After making sure that all the selection that we need to do is done, now we must invert the selection by hitting the keys Ctrl-Alt-I. This, as I mentioned, will invert the selection. With the selection inverted, now we can use the Refine tool every time you have a selection tool selected. The Refine button will show at the top of your screen. With the Refine tool, we're going to make sure that we're going to select a little bit inside the area that we want to maintain, while the red area that you see represents the area that will be removed. My suggestion is to get as close to the pixels as you can. If you see any white halo around the image, that means that some of the white background of this image will show, and we don't want that to happen. Now, with our selection clean, let's apply this as a mask to the image. Right after doing this, we're going to right-click on the image and select Rasterize with Trim. This option will remove any unwanted area that is even outside the artboard. If after doing this the selection box does not represent the area that you were expecting, it means that probably there's some artifact that we need to remove. The way that we can do this is to move the image close outside the visible area and do the rasterization with Trim again. First, we're going to do it on the left, and then we do the same on the right. And as you can see, I forgot to do rasterize with Trim in the left. Let's do that again. Now that we have a clean object without a background, we can apply an effect, and the effect that we are going to apply is Color Overlay. Since we created the black background, we need to apply the white area for the OBS mask. After doing this, let's head to OBS to apply all these masks. I will bring an object to the OBS screen and I will apply a mask to this object. As you can see, the mask will be able to be applied either to cameras, screens, or any other object as long as you have the option for image mask. First, let's apply the vertical mask, the one that has the fade in top and the bottom. And as you can see, it's just as simple as browsing for an image and select it. Now let's apply the horizontal one. We only need to do the same process with the JPEG that we created for the horizontal mask. There's nothing else that we need to do now. If you want to use an image that has an alpha channel, then you have to change that. But in this case, I like to keep things simple, and JPEGs are the simplest way that you can do that. But you can make animated masks with GIFs. If you would like to see how to make an animated GIF, just let me a comment down below. Now let's apply the mask with the paint splat, and it's the same process. Just browse for the image and select it. And as you can see, the image that you created, the black and white image, just made the perfect masking for this object. And here I'm showing how it looks with another object behind. You can do this process with any application to create images, but I prefer to use Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, or Affinity Publisher, because the workflow program on them makes everything easier. Well, I hope you like this video, and I hope you subscribe and remember to click the notification bell so you can be notified again. And don't miss any of my quick tips for designers' gates. Q-tips. Happy designing, happy developing, happy gaming. See ya. God bless.